In 2020, a 16-year-old in Cincinnati was streaming to an empty room. No script, no team, no money, just unfiltered rage screamed night after night into a void that never answered. The creator economy was minting millionaires, but the smartest money wasn't chasing fame. Creators like KSI were building beverage brands, boxing promotions, music catalogs, businesses engineered to print revenue whether or not their founder ever appeared on camera again. This kid had none of it. What he built was a tornado, a machine whose sole product was his own unscripted mania. A fortune that could only be delivered by his own body at maximum velocity, where the product and the person were fused into the same volatile thing, and the moment one stopped, the other disappeared. Within 3 years, that rage made him one of the most watched humans alive, sitting atop an empire worth $125 million. The world called him IShowSpeed, but somewhere along the way, the audience's hunger and his own teenage instincts fused into something indistinguishable. He wasn't performing chaos anymore, he was living inside it. The fans had built a coliseum, and Speed was never its emperor, he was its gladiator. The question isn't how he built the empire, it's what happens when the business model demands the gladiator's breakdown. By 2020, the creator economy had already sorted its winners from its losers. Polished thumbnails, brand deals, managed personas. The algorithm rewarded consistency, production value, and likability. In Bon Hill, a working-class neighborhood on Cincinnati's northeast side, where 1 in 5 families lived below the poverty line, none of that existed for Speed. His parents divorced when he was young. He stayed with his mother, Tiffany, in a modest house where her voice could often be heard through the walls, telling him to stop screaming, telling him to end his streams. To her, it looked like her son was having a breakdown into a screen every night for nothing. His father had moved to Detroit. There was no studio, no editor, just a kid, a console, and a nickname, Speedy, earned from outrunning dogs in the neighborhood. He registered a YouTube channel in 2016. He was 11. By late 2017, he was live streaming NBA 2K and Fortnite to an audience that rarely exceeded 2 viewers.
Lock in, bro. Come on, you can't be missing, bro. Lock in.
3 years of near-daily broadcasts produced almost nothing. By 2020, he averaged roughly 10 people watching at any given moment. 10. At YouTube's standard ad rates, 10 concurrent viewers on an unmonetized channel generated essentially zero revenue. A few cents per stream, if that. He was putting in full-time hours for less than pocket change. In an industry where visibility was currency, Speed was broke. Then came the fracture. A clip of him raging at a game got reposted by WorldStar Hip Hop. The comments were vicious. Strangers mocked him. His mother saw the attention, saw the ridicule pouring onto her son, and told him to stop. When he refused, the conflict forced him out. At 15, Speed packed what he had and moved to Detroit to live with his father.
So, as I was streaming, there was a clip that kind of blown up. It was on WorldStar. You remember WorldStar, right? So my dad showed my mom, because my dad watches WorldStar. My mom seen the video. She's like, "What are you doing, blah, blah, blah? Why is everybody talking about you, like, online, blah, blah, blah?" Because it was like hate comments. She told me to quit, or I'm leaving, like, you know, or like, you can't do this in my house. So I'm like, I'm out.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I'm out. So boom, she kicked me out. I moved to my dad in Detroit. Then I kept going.
His streaming setup was a PlayStation 4 camera. A teenager earning nothing, living in a room that wasn't his, broadcasting to an audience that could fit in a minivan, and choosing it over the only home he had ever known. That exile could have ended him. Instead, it rearranged something. In Cincinnati, streaming had been a hobby fought against. In Detroit, in that cramped room, it became the only thing he had left. No school reputation to protect, no mother's rules to navigate, no friends watching. Just the camera, the game, and hours of empty chat scrolling by. When he eventually crossed 100,000 subscribers, he called his mother to tell her. Her reaction was cold. She didn't understand what he was building. By then, the channel was generating its first real ad revenue, a few $1,000s a month, enough to glimpse a future, but not enough to prove anything to a mother who had watched her son scream at a screen for 4 years with nothing to show for it. But in that silence, something was clicking. He was watching which moments spiked his tiny viewership. He noticed that the clips people shared were never the skillful plays. They were the explosions, the screaming, the rage, the unfiltered chaos that polished creators carefully edited out. The thing the world had punished him for was the thing the platform quietly rewarded. He didn't have a strategy yet. He didn't have an audience. But the wound had already done its work. It had severed him from every conventional path and left him with a single operating principle. The version of himself that others found unbearable was the only version that had ever gotten anyone to watch. He wasn't playing a character. He had no room to. Everything was real. Everything was raw. Everything was loud. In a bedroom in Detroit, with a borrowed camera and no backup plan, that principle was about to collide with an algorithm designed to amplify exactly what he had to offer. In early 2021, the streaming industry operated on a simple hierarchy. Twitch sat at the top. Its partnership program, subscription model, and raid system created a closed ecosystem where established creators fed each other audiences. To succeed, you played by Twitch's rules. You moderated your language, you cultivated a brand-safe persona. You networked with other streamers and climbed the ladder rung by rung. And it wasn't just Twitch. Across every major platform, the smartest creators in the space were building what amounted to walled gardens. Stable, retention-based ecosystems designed to keep audiences coming back day after day. Not through spectacle, through consistency, through warmth, through the feeling of a digital living room you could always return to. That was the proven model. That was what the industry rewarded. Speed had none of it. He was 16, streaming from his father's house in Detroit on a PlayStation camera.
Bro, old heads stay having 3-level scores, bro. He said, bro, shut up. That's what I'm saying. Like, these old heads stay having these little beats with these 3-level scores, 2-level this. Nigga, I'm hip to all of it. Trust me.
No moderators, no subscriber emotes, no channel point system. By April 2021, after nearly 4 years of daily broadcasting, he had reached 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
We did it, man. $99.
We did it, dog.
Super chat. Daddy.
Oh my God, y'all.
Oh my auntie, mama. We did this. Oh my everybody. Everybody. We did this. Let's go. Let's go.
But in an industry minting millionaires, it was a rounding error. Then something shifted, not on his stream, on another platform entirely. His fans, a small but obsessive group, had begun clipping the most extreme moments from his broadcasts and uploading them to TikTok. Not highlights of skillful gameplay, not polished edits. The clips that spread were the ones where Watkins lost control. Screaming at the screen, slamming his desk, barking at the camera, raging at opponents with a ferocity that felt genuinely unhinged. On TikTok, where the algorithm prioritized watch time and emotional response over follower count, these clips detonated. People shared them not as endorsements, but as spectacles. They watched them the way they watch car crashes.
Calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down!
And the algorithm didn't care about the difference. Attention was attention. The most viral clips shared one quality. They left people unsure whether what they were watching was real. To the algorithm, that confusion was indistinguishable from engagement.
Let her talk. Who's better, Ronaldo or Messi?
Say Messi.
No.
Messi.
Huh?
Messi.
What?
Watkins noticed. And here's where he diverged from everyone else. The conventional wisdom in 2021 was clear. Brands paid for clean content. Platforms rewarded consistency. Controversy was a liability. Every successful streamer understood that growth meant professionalization. While his peers were building those walled gardens, steady, safe, designed to last, Watkins looked at the data and understood something different. The clips that traveled fastest were the ones no professional creator would ever publish. The market was saturated with competence. What it lacked was volatility. The meme accounts weren't affiliated with him. They weren't coordinated. But the effect was the same as a marketing campaign. Maybe better because it didn't look like one.
What did I do?
Every rage clip that went viral on TikTok funneled viewers to his YouTube channel. He didn't have to ask for it. The content was so reactive, so raw, that people did the distribution for free. He leaned in, not cautiously, completely. He escalated the energy, amplified the chaos, let every stream become an uncontrolled event. He did Omegle streams where he screamed at strangers.
Ah! Bro, move, bro! Get your sticky ass! Bro, move, bro! Bro, move, bro! Who the fuck is...
He played Talking Ben, a children's app, and turned it into a screaming match so absurd that the game shot to #1 on the App Store for the first time in over a decade.
Yes.
Okay, so you ready? I just want to be friends. That's all I want to be. I want to be friends.
Yes.
Okay, we friends now?
No.
That was a bitch, bro. This nigga a bitch, dog.
He streamed horror games and reacted with a physical intensity that made the game secondary to his performance. The content was never about the game. It was about the possibility that anything could happen at any moment.
No. Oh shit, I done broke my fucking monitor. Ain't this...
The setup was still painfully small. That same PlayStation camera, that same shared bedroom in Detroit, low ceiling, bad lighting, whatever the built-in mic could manage. No production team, no manager, barely any furniture. But the gap between the size of the room and the size of the energy coming out of it, that was exactly what made people watch. You could feel that something was about to either explode or collapse. The numbers responded immediately. In April 2021, he had 100,000 subscribers. By June, 1 million. The channel was now generating an estimated $30,000 to $50,000 a month in ad revenue alone, more money than most households in Bond Hill saw in a year, flowing into the bank account of a kid who still didn't have his own bedroom. He was 16 years old. And the industry was watching a kid do something it couldn't quite explain. Everyone else was building houses. This kid was riding a tornado. That distinction, tornado versus house, wasn't just a metaphor. It was the fundamental architectural divide of the creator economy in 2021. On one side, creators were building walled gardens, community-based retention ecosystems engineered around the warmth of a digital living room audiences could return to every day. Revenue streams diversified enough to survive a bad week, a bad month, even a platform strike. These empires ran on consistency. They compounded equity. They could outlast the person who built them. On the other side, there was whatever Speed was doing, event-based disruption. Every stream a detonation, every viewer knew, every dollar earned on the implicit promise that the next broadcast might be the one where everything went sideways. One was The Office. You tuned in because you knew exactly what you'd get, and it felt like home. The other was a live helicopter feed of a police chase. You watched because you were terrified of missing the moment the car crashed. One model built community, the other built witnesses, and witnesses leave the moment the wind dies. This wasn't a stylistic preference. It was a structural choice that would determine everything that followed. What the Twitch ban would cost him, what the algorithm would give him, what the brands would eventually demand, and what would happen the first time the tornado stopped spinning. And already, at 1 million subscribers, before anyone outside the streaming world knew his name, the tension was forming. A mid-level ad buyer at a CPG brand would later tell a trade publication that Speed's channel had been flagged internally as early as mid-2021. The engagement metrics were extraordinary. The brand safety score was catastrophic. The file sat in a folder labeled "Monitor but do not touch." The platforms called creators like him high engagement, high risk. In boardrooms, that phrase meant the audience is enormous, the liability is unknowable, and whoever approves this buy is putting their name on a bet they cannot control. The numbers were going up. The compliance departments were already building the walls. December 2021, Aiden Ross's Twitch stream. Watkins is on camera with another creator, riding the high of 1 million subscriber month, and he says something, a comment Twitch will later classify as sexual coercion.
Say if we're the last two people on Earth and we had to reproduce to make the world continue, would you reproduce with me?
No, because that means our kids will have to intertwine and then their kids, no.
Who gonna stop me?
I will.
Who's gonna stop me?
I will.
If we the last two people on Earth, who gonna stop me?
Gee,
You're not stopping me. If we the last two people on Earth, who gonna stop me?
Yeah. Come on.
The clip gets flagged. Within hours, the email lands. Permanent ban. Not 30 days, not a warning. Permanent.
E-dates. Like she's still my friend. He's still invited to come, fly and see me and shit. He's banned from Twitch, unfortunately, so I cannot have him on stream anymore, or associate myself with him on streaming wise. But let's see if he really fucks me. This is a test, see if he actually fucks me, if he pulls up on me, calls me, checks up on me and shit. He didn't come to see me for my birthday, so we'll see, chat. We'll see if he really fucks me, right? But as you guys know, I can no longer associate myself with Twitch, with Speed on my Twitch channel. Okay, so yeah.
He picks up his phone, opens Twitter, and types one word: buy. Then he closes the laptop, and the bedroom in Detroit goes quiet. The subscription revenue, gone. The channel points, the emotes, the raid system that fed new viewers to rising creators while they slept, all of it severed. The single most important platform in live streaming had just locked its doors on a 16-year-old in a shared bedroom. For any creator operating inside a walled garden, this would have been a career extinction event. The garden's strength was its community, but communities live on platforms, and when the platform locks the gate, the community scatters. A creator with 1 million loyal subscribers, built through years of daily interaction, inside jokes, and subscriber emotes, would have watched that community fragment overnight. The walls that protected the garden were also the bars of the cage. But Speed had never built walls. His audience didn't live inside Twitch. They lived on TikTok compilation pages, YouTube recommendation feeds, and Twitter quote tweets, scattered across the open internet, held together not by community, but by curiosity. You can't scatter what was never gathered. For days, his YouTube analytics flatlined. Inside Twitch, the calculus was straightforward. A permanent ban on a rising creator sent a signal to advertisers that the platform took brand safety seriously. One compliance officer's problem solved. But at YouTube, a different kind of meeting was happening. Speed's watch time numbers were accelerating on a platform that had been struggling to make live content stick. A banned Twitch creator with a volatile audience migrating to YouTube was either a gift or a grenade.
Look, bro, fuck this game. On my mama, you dirty as fuck, you dead ass.
The platform chose to treat it as a gift. But someone, somewhere in that building, had to sign off on that bet, knowing full well what the next incident might cost them. But what happened next defied every reasonable expectation. Watkins was never really a Twitch native. His audience lived on YouTube and TikTok. The ban didn't scatter his viewers, it concentrated them. With no second platform to dilute his presence, every stream now funneled into a single channel. YouTube's algorithm, which rewarded watch time over subscriber count, fed his broadcast to millions who had never searched for his name. By the end of 2021, Watkins had 3 million subscribers.
My God, bro. Let's go, bro. 3 milli, bro. 3 milli, dog.
He was earning more than most adults in Cincinnati had ever seen. He called his mother again. This time, the numbers were undeniable, but the distance between them had grown into something that couldn't be closed with a phone call. The platform that was supposed to be the backup had become the empire. The system that made this possible was simple. Give the algorithm what it wants, and it will give you everything. What Watkins hadn't yet reckoned with was that the algorithm doesn't distinguish between fame and infamy, and neither would the consequences. What happened next was a year-long proof of concept. Not that Watkins was talented, that was already obvious. The proof was darker than that. It was proof that consequences didn't apply. By mid-2022, he had 10 million subscribers. His live streams drew tens of thousands of concurrent viewers. Warner Records signed him.
Let's play football.
The Streamy Awards would name him Breakout Streamer of the Year. He was 17.
Hey guys, sorry I didn't make it to the Streamy Awards. I'm actually on my way to the World Cup right now. I would have loved to made it. This actually means a lot. Winning the war. I would have never thought, my young self, telling my young self I actually, won a war. I appreciate the support, this actually, I would never did this if it weren't for y'all support, man. I love you guys so much. We out.
And the controversies were stacking up at a pace that defied comprehension. Game bans, platform bans, broadcast removals, advertiser scrutiny, police intervention, public apologies that became routine. Any one of them should have been a career extinction event. Combined, they barely registered as a speed bump. To understand how bulletproof he had become, you only need to look at one night, the 4th of July stream. The firework was shaped like Pikachu. It sat on the floor of his bedroom, angled at nothing in particular, while 20,000 people watched through their screens. There was a moment, a half second, maybe less, where his hand hovered over the lighter and the stream held its breath. Not because anyone thought he wouldn't do it, because everyone knew he would. That was the contract. The audience showed up for the guarantee that Speed would do the thing no rational person would do. And Speed showed up knowing that the moment he hesitated, the audience would find someone who wouldn't. But look closer at that half second. Not at the hand, at the chat. 20,000 lines of text scrolling at a speed no human eye could track, and every legible fragment saying the same thing. Do it. Light it. Don't be a coward. It was a hostage negotiation in real time. The chat held his relevance hostage, and the ransom was the lighter. The algorithm didn't type those words. 20,000 human beings did, each one anonymous, each one daring a 17-year-old to do something they would never do themselves, from the safety of a screen they could close at any time. The algorithm was the arena, the audience was the crowd, and the crowd was screaming for the lighter. He set it off. Smoke filled the room. Within seconds, the frame was nothing but haze and the sound of Watkins coughing.
Pikachu!
The fire department showed up. The clip went everywhere, not as a cautionary tale, but as entertainment. And the subscriber count climbed again. But in an office park somewhere in Mountain View, a content moderation analyst was writing a different kind of report. The incident triggered a manual review. The stream had run pre-roll ads from 3 Fortune 500 companies. Their logos had appeared 60 seconds before a teenager detonated an explosive indoors. The analyst flagged it. A manager reviewed it. The decision came back. No action. The engagement metrics were too valuable to disturb. The report went into the same kind of folder that was getting thicker by the month, a growing archive of incidents where the platform had chosen growth over intervention, each one a precedent that would be harder to reverse than the last. Every stunt carried the same invisible arithmetic. The cost of doing it was real. Smoke inhalation, legal exposure, platform strikes. But the cost of not doing it was worse. A boring stream, a flatline chat, the algorithm moving on. For a 17-year-old whose entire income, identity, and self-worth were fused to a subscriber count, the lighter was always the safer option. That was the trap, and it was tightening with every successful escalation. And the trap was self-built. Every time he chose the stunt over the safe play, he wasn't obeying a machine. He was training himself to need the machine's approval more deeply than the last time. The algorithm provided the incentive. The audience provided the dare. Darren provided the willingness. None of the three could produce the result alone. Every time, the same cycle: incident, outrage, apology, growth. The lesson this taught was not complicated. The algorithm had no memory. The audience forgave faster than the news cycle moved, and the numbers only traveled in one direction. By December 2022, he had 15 million subscribers and over 1 billion total views.
We did it, bro. Once again, I love every single one of you guys in the chat, man. I love you guys so much, bro. Psych, 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 psych.
He pivoted toward football content, specifically toward an obsession with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Through Super Chat. What soccer football team do you support?
Cristiano Ronaldo, Suey. Simple as that, bro.
He flew to Qatar for the FIFA World Cup and live-streamed himself weeping on camera, celebrating Portuguese goals like a man watching his own child score. Fans started calling him Sewi. The clips flooded every platform. In Qatar, he approached a Chinese spectator and repeatedly greeted the man in Japanese. Accusations of racism followed. He apologized on Twitter.
Portugal's winning! Portugal's winning! Sabe quem é esse cara aí, Moreira? No Brazil! Sim, Brasil! No Brazil! Ele é aquele streamer famoso. No Brazil! Para. Portugal's winning! Oh, vai dormir.
He won the Streamy Award. His song charted in multiple countries. The Invincibility looked total, but what he couldn't see, what nobody operating inside the feedback loop could see, was that the system rewarding him was not endorsing him. YouTube's algorithm didn't distinguish between a creator building durable value and one generating disposable spectacle. It measured engagement. And engagement, by its nature, demands escalation. The volume that works today has to be louder tomorrow. The stunt that shocks this month has to be surpassed next month. The machine demanded more. It offered no signal for when the cost of more would exceed what any audience or platform was willing to tolerate. Meanwhile, the ground was shifting beneath the entire model.
These balls! Not your auntie. Not your auntie.
The platforms that had enabled his rise were facing mounting pressure from advertisers and regulators to prioritize brand safety over raw engagement. What had once been labeled high-value engagement was being quietly reclassified as institutional liability. The system that rewarded him was already rewriting its own rules. Watkins, still inside the feedback loop, still watching numbers climb, had no reason to notice. Then, in July 2023, Darren developed a severe sinus infection that triggered cluster headaches so intense he later told his audience he had nearly died.
Hello guys, quick update. I don't know what I have right now. I'm about to go through surgery right now. I love y'all boys so much, you know. I've been feeling shit, literally, just very bad. Like my eyes, oh my god, my eyes puffing up. It feels like a stab. It feels like somebody is stabbing my eye with a knife. Boom, 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 boom. And I have a headache like right in this area. So it's like right in this area. It's literally look just exactly like this. But I wanted to give y'all boys an update because I don't know what's gonna happen to me. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all boys to always be right there with me until I die. So I just want to let y'all know. I don't know, man. But when I get back home, I'm gonna probably chill for traveling for a bit because a lot is going on. Bye.
He was 18, living alone, streaming as his sole source of income, dealing with a health crisis that left him bedridden for weeks. When he returned to streaming on August 15th, he looked thinner. He told viewers he was recovering. The next day, everything unraveled. On August 16th, 2023, Watkins was live streaming 5 Nights at Freddy's to 25,000 viewers. A jump scare startled him so badly that he accidentally exposed himself on camera.
Oh, Chica, I miss you. I'm about to fuck you, Chica. Oh, shit, it's dick up in you, baby.
What happened to you?
Oh, my God.
The clip spread instantly, and this time, the apology would not be enough. He froze. Then he ended the broadcast and deleted the video. It didn't matter. Within minutes, clips had been captured and uploaded across every platform: Twitter, Reddit, TikTok. The internet coined a nickname: IShowSpeed. and turned it into a meme before Watkins had even processed what happened. By morning, it was trending. News outlets covered it. Strangers debated whether YouTube should ban him. And then his own family joined in. His father recorded a song mocking the incident. It went viral. His brother called him the nickname on a live stream.
Oh my God, what's up, man?
Have you ever said I show me?
Yes. I'm being honest. Yes, I did.
What?
Yeah, I said I show me.
Why?
His chat, the audience he had built over 7 years, spammed it every time he appeared on camera.
Yourself in my shoes, okay? All right? No. Put yourself in my shoes, okay? Say if you're okay. No. Say if your stuff get leaked, millions of people is seeing it. Yo, you know, your family, and everybody's laughing at you. You know, laughing, I show me, like, bro, laughing at you, and like, bro, reposting it. Like, bro, how the fuck would you fucking feel, motherfucker? How the fuck would you fucking feel?
The boy who had left home to chase a dream his family didn't believe in now watched that same family monetize his humiliation. Proof that the attention economy devours everyone inside its radius, not just the person at the center. YouTube reviewed the incident and issued no punishment, citing the speed of his deletion. Fellow creator Moist Critical commented that in 17 years on the platform, he had never seen YouTube move that fast to protect a creator.
They take the scenic route. Most of the time, it's just wildly inefficient. But in the case of IShowSpeed here, with the situation that happened yesterday, I have never seen YouTube move this fast. A lot of people are wondering if YouTube was going to give him a strike or if they're going to outright ban his channel because nudity is against their rules. And YouTube has swiftly come out to answer this question. YouTube says that they're not going to ban him or anything like that, or even give him a strike. It'll just be business as usual. He's fine to continue moving forward on the platform as he has been. They stated that while it was a violation of their policy, the fact that Speed removed the broadcast and everything associated with it means that he was in the clear.
The decision was pragmatic. Speed was one of YouTube Gaming's biggest assets. Banning him meant losing millions of hours of watch time monthly. But the mercy came with an unspoken cost. YouTube had now publicly absorbed Speed's risk. If the next incident was worse, the platform would have no political cover left. And that absorption was not invisible to the people who write the checks. Within 48 hours of the incident, at least 2 active brand partnerships entered internal review. Not because the brands were morally outraged, because their contracts contained standard morality clauses. And a content moderation team at YouTube had just set a public precedent that the platform would protect its highest value creators even when the violation was unambiguous. For the brands, the math had changed. They were no longer just betting on Speed's behavior. They were betting on YouTube's willingness to keep absorbing the risk. And that was a bet with no ceiling on the downside. 2 days later, Watkins returned to stream. He was visibly shaken. The first super chat message on screen read, "I show meat." He rolled his eyes. But later, in a quieter moment, he told his audience something he had never said before. He said the incident was one of his worst fears as a streamer, that millions of people had seen it, that he was suffering mentally.
This is truly an embarrassing fucking moment for me. And I've really been lately these past hours, this past days and hours, I've been suffering very mentally, bro. You know, generally, bro. At the end of the day, I'm still a human being, bro. And one of my worst fears that I never even wanted to happen. My worst fear is that I never wanted to happen. This is like, as a streamer, this is one of your worst fears. I can't. I don't know what to do anymore, bro.
I generally don't know what to do anymore, bro. Like I don't know, bro. This is like, sometimes I ask, why does this shit happen? You know.
For the first time, the persona cracked, not as performance, but as genuine exposure. The rage, the screaming, the chaos, all of it had been armor. Now the armor had failed in the most public way possible. And what was underneath was an 18-year-old who could not make the internet stop laughing. The same audience that had worshipped his invincibility now fed on his vulnerability with identical appetite. That was the revelation hiding inside the humiliation. The crowd had never been loyal to speed. It was loyal to spectacle. And a man breaking was just as spectacular as a man raging. The mockery didn't subside. It followed him into every stream, every comment section, every public appearance. Fans chanted the nickname at him for months. In IRL streams, in Roblox lobbies, in voice chats.
Really?
Yes, really, dude? Really? Really?
Really?
Really? Yes, really? I love you.
Years later, strangers would still shout it at him in public.
IShowSpeed or IShowMe? The fuck is y'all saying, bro? What is y'all saying? IShowMe! 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 No, we about to fight. We about to fight. Hold on. Who's saying that, bro? Who's saying that, bro? Who's saying that? Who's saying that?
He couldn't outrun it, because the same machine that had built his fame was now the machine circulating his humiliation. The algorithm didn't care about context. It measured engagement. And humiliation engaged. But here's what matters. He didn't quit. He didn't retreat into silence. What he did in the weeks after the incident was something no one saw on camera. He stopped streaming for stretches that felt, to his audience, like sulking. They weren't. He was rewatching his own content, not the highlights, the patterns. He later told a close collaborator that he started writing things down. Not scripts, observations. Which streams got clipped, which clips traveled, which moments gave the audience power over him and which ones took it back. He noticed something he'd never articulated before. Behind the desk, the chat controlled the frame. They could type faster than he could react. They could weaponize a word and repeat it 10,000 times until it buried whatever he was trying to do. The desk was a cage. The screen was a one-way mirror with the audience on the powerful side. But the clips that traveled farthest, the ones that had built him in the first place, were never the ones where he was sitting still. They were the ones where he was moving, running, falling, colliding with the physical world. In motion, the chat couldn't keep up. In motion, the body spoke louder than the text. He didn't call it a pivot. He didn't have the vocabulary for business strategy. But what he had was the pattern, and the wound, and the desperate clarity of someone who understood that if he went back to that desk, the meme would eat him alive. In the weeks that followed, something shifted. He began traveling. He flew to Japan, where a severe infection hospitalized him and swelled his eyes shut.
I don't know what the hell is all of this. It's some Japanese Tokyo Ghoul Revengers One Piece stuff. But right now, I'm currently still in the hospital, and I'm hospitalized. I really just want to go home and stream for y'all. I want to go home, play Fortnite, play FIFA 24.
He streamed from India, meeting celebrities and navigating unfamiliar streets.
Staying here before. Oh, man. Well, you got my boy MC staying here out here.
Subscribe that. Know what I'm saying, bro.
What are you saying? What? God, I got.
He attended the Ballon d'Or ceremony. He showed up at charity events, football matches, and cultural landmarks in countries where most of his audience had never set foot. The content was no longer a boy screaming at a screen in a bedroom. It was something else entirely, unscripted, physical, global. The pivot wasn't just creative evolution. The old persona had become a trap. Every gaming stream invited the same cycle of rage, clips, controversy, apology. and the platforms were quietly deprioritizing the content that had built him. But calling it survival understates what Darren actually did. He didn't stumble out of the bedroom in a panic. He engineered an escape. Behind a desk, the chat controlled the dynamic. They could type the nickname. They could spam the meme. They could weaponize language against him faster than he could respond. But if he left the desk, if he made the content physical, spatial, unpredictable, the verbal scaffolding collapsed. You can't heckle a man sprinting through a market in Jakarta. The body outruns the text. He chose the IRL pivot not because the algorithm pushed him there, but because he understood, with the hard-won clarity of someone who had been publicly humiliated, that the only way to silence the chat was to make the chat irrelevant. He didn't announce a rebrand. He didn't explain the shift. But the evidence was visible to anyone paying attention. The old IShowSpeed, the raw, unmediated kid screaming at NBA 2K, was being gradually replaced by something more managed, more global, more physical. The old story, the one where escalation always worked and consequences never lasted, was over. The person who walked out of that stream was not the same one who had walked in. By late 2023, the old model was dead. Every gaming broadcast invited the same cycle. The persona that had taken Darren Watkins from 10 viewers to 20 million had also nearly destroyed him. Then came the charity boxing match with KSI in December 2023.
And raise as much money for him. For charity, for sure.
I'm sure the stream will do that, obviously.
Of course,
it's very successful so far.
Please donate.
Then the Match for Hope football event in Qatar, where he slide tackled the retired Brazilian star Kaká on camera. Then WrestleMania, where he appeared in costume and was thrown through a commentary table by Randy Orton. Each appearance was louder, more physical, more public than the last. The numbers stabilized. The apology cycle paused. But a celebrity appearance circuit is not a business model. It's a guest slot. Watkins was still dependent on other people's stages. YouTube's platform, other creators' events, brands that could revoke access at any time. What happened next was not announced. There was no press release, no rebrand video, no strategy document. Watkins simply left his bedroom and did not come back. In mid-2024, he began touring Europe during the UEFA European Championship. He streamed live from Germany, Albania, Italy, the Netherlands. Not gaming content, not reaction videos. Just himself, a camera, and whatever happened next. He chased footballers through parking lots. He was mobbed in souvenir stores. He met the Prime Minister of Albania on camera.
My boy, what's up, man? Give me a hug. Oh, let's go, baby.
In England, he rolled down a hill at the Cooper's Hill cheese rolling event and injured his leg. Then came Norway. And Norway is where the two realities of IShowSpeed, the one the audience sees and the one that makes the audience possible, collided in real time. Here's what the camera saw. Watkins steps out of a vehicle and the street detonates. Hundreds of fans materialize from nowhere. They're climbing on cars. They're pulling at his clothes. Someone grabs his hair. He's grinning. He's feeding it. He's doing what the tornado does, spinning faster because the wind demands it. Here's what the camera didn't see. In the same seconds, the exact same seconds, earpieces are crackling. A security team is recalculating extraction routes in real time. There are 6 of them, 2 former military, 1 local hire who knows the street grid. They'd arrived 48 hours earlier, walked the route twice, identified 3 extraction points and 2 fallback vehicles. The lead detail had a phrase for what speed did to their planning: voluntary exposure. Every time he leaned into a crowd instead of away from it, the security geometry collapsed. They'd rehearsed a hand signal, a tap on the left shoulder, that meant pull out now. In Norway, they used it 4 times in 90 minutes. He ignored it 3. Bodyguards are physically bracing around a 20-year-old, scanning for choke points, communicating with local police, watching the energy shift from celebration to something that feels a lot closer to a stampede. On camera, a young man barking at Cristiano Ronaldo so hard that Ronaldo has to physically tell him to calm down. Off camera, an operation with the tactical profile of a diplomatic protection detail. Decoy vehicles in Romania, body doubles. His team called them double ganger gamers, pulling crowds away from his real location. The doubles were usually young men of similar build, wearing the same outfit, deployed to secondary locations with their own camera crews. In Bucharest, a double drew a crowd of 300 to a shopping district, while the real Watkins was extracted from a hotel service entrance 2 kilometers away. The operation cost more per day than his entire first year of streaming revenue. Professional security executing building extractions when fans turned violent. Route logistics across multiple countries, coordinated with local law enforcement, managed in real time.
Hello, IShowSpeed fans, man. This is the worst day of my life, y'all. I broke my foot. As you can see, my ankle's literally torn. It's like literally, it's messed up. My ankle's broke. They pulled my hair out. As you can see, all my hair is gone. Up there, they pulled my hair off. They threw water at me. Somebody literally did a WWE Rey Mysterio move and jumped off the car and jumped into the thing. I don't know about this. Wait. But this is the scariest day of my life. I promise you. I couldn't even breathe. That was the scariest day of my. This was the scariest day of my life.
And the next day, because this is how the tornado works, he streamed again.
I made a challenge. A couple streams back, I said, chat, if y'all boys get me to 200,000 likes, I will go back to Norway. And y'all know me. Y'all know Speed. I never go back on my word. So chat, we are back in Norway.
And the distance between those two realities, the performance and the apparatus desperately trying to contain it, was the actual engine of the empire. Because the moment the chaos looks managed, it stops being chaos, and the tornado dies. It takes a tremendous amount of rigorous order to safely monetize this much disorder. Because here's the question worth asking. Not, why does this kid act like that? That's the boring question. The real one is, how does a multi-million-dollar operation sustain and monetize this level of apparent chaos without collapsing? A naive teenager doesn't coordinate decoy extractions in Eastern Europe. Whatever Watkins was, he had stopped being that a long time ago. But the corporation could never let the audience see the corporation. Every other major streamer in 2024 was competing for attention inside a screen. Better production, tighter editing, more polished thumbnails. Watkins had stepped outside the screen entirely. He had turned the real world into his content. And in doing so, he had discovered something the desktop streaming model could never provide. The audience was no longer watching a performance. They were watching something genuinely unscripted, happening in real time, in places they could recognize. And here's what most analysis of the IRL pivot misses. It didn't just change where the content happened, it changed who could understand it. The traditional streaming model, a creator sitting at a desk, riffing in rapid-fire English, trading in-jokes with chat, relying on cultural shorthand and verbal wit, has a natural ceiling. It requires fluency, not just in English, but in the specific dialect of American internet culture. That ceiling kept even the biggest desk-bound streamers locked inside an English-speaking audience. Watkins shattered it, not through translation, through elimination. His content had always been more physical than verbal. The screaming, the exaggerated reactions, the full-body chaos. But behind a desk, those moments were still packaged inside a gaming stream, surrounded by English-language commentary that framed them as highlights. Once he stepped into the real world, the verbal scaffolding fell away entirely. What remained was pure physical comedy, sprinting through markets, crashing tuk-tuks. doing backflips in crowded streets,
W's in the chat, man.
barking at strangers, reacting to the world with an intensity so exaggerated it functioned as its own language. A viewer in Vietnam or Poland or Kenya didn't need to pass a single English sentence to understand what was happening. The comedy was entirely in the body. Slapstick at internet speed, the spiritual descendant of Chaplin and Mr. Bean, except it's live, unscripted, and the consequences are real. This is the mechanic that geography alone can't explain. If simply showing up in Jakarta were enough to generate 1 million concurrent viewers, any American creator with 10 million subscribers could book a flight and produce the same result. They can't. What Watkins had, the thing that translated, was a comedic vocabulary built entirely out of motion, volume, and physical unpredictability. It required no subtitles, no cultural context, no shared slang. The content was the body, and the body was universally legible. That distinction also explained why the IRL pivot compounded his tornado rather than taming it. The walled garden creators who might follow him overseas would bring their verbal, community-based model with them and find that it didn't travel. Watkins' volatility, the very thing that made his empire fragile, was also the thing that made it borderless. The tornado couldn't be domesticated, but it could go anywhere. And for Watkins himself, the shift was more than strategic. For the first time in years, the content didn't require him to perform rage. The world supplied the chaos on its own. The crowds, the chases, the unpredictability of a foreign city. He didn't have to manufacture the volatility anymore. He just had to show up and let it find him. That distinction mattered more than the numbers. It meant the tornado could keep spinning without tearing apart the person at its center. Thailand, India, Cambodia, Indonesia, Norway. 5 countries in a matter of weeks, each one louder than the last, each crowd bigger than the one before. The kid who once streamed to 10 people in a Detroit bedroom now needed police escorts in cities he couldn't find on a map. A scripted reaction can be faked. A crowd of 10,000 people surrounding you in a foreign city cannot. The old streaming economy worked like television. A creator sat in a room and broadcast to a passive audience. Watkins had inverted the model. He went to the audience. He showed up in their countries, walked their streets, ate their food, and let whatever happened become the content. The production value was low. The risk was high. The engagement was unlike anything the platform had seen. His Europe tour generated over 2.5 billion views across platforms. 1 month, 1 person. No studio, no network, no traditional distribution. Just a phone, a security team, and an audience that behaved less like subscribers and more like a movement. Then, in September 2024, Watkins flew to Southeast Asia. In Thailand, he peaked at over 600,000 concurrent live viewers. Then he landed in Indonesia. On September 18, 2024, surrounded by fans on a street in Indonesia, Watkins watched his concurrent viewer count climb past 1 million.
1 million live viewers! 1 million!
1 million people watching a single person walk through a city live. He broke down crying on camera. Not the performed emotion of a rage clip, not content, just a 20-year-old overwhelmed by the distance between where he was and where he had started. A year earlier, the internet had given him the worst moment of his life. Now it was giving him the biggest. The stream accumulated over 14 million total views. According to Stream's charts, it made him the most watched English-speaking streamer in history across all platforms. He was 19 years old. 3 years earlier, he had been streaming to empty chat rooms on a PlayStation camera in his uncle's bedroom. 1 year earlier, he had been the subject of the most humiliating meme in streaming history. Now, he was drawing crowds that shut down city blocks in countries where he didn't speak the language. Not because of a single viral clip, not because of a controversy, because 1 million people wanted to watch what would happen next. The Streamer Awards named him Streamer of the Year, Best IRL Streamer, Best International Streamer, 3 awards in a single night.
IShowSpeed.
The boy who had once screamed at a screen for no one now moved through the world with 1 million people following every step. By 2025, Speed sat atop an empire that didn't resemble the one he had started building. Over 40 million subscribers across platforms. Rolling Stone named him the most influential creator of the year. Time placed him on its 100 creators list. The NFL commissioner invited him to captain a flag football team at a Super Bowl event. CBS Sports featured him during Champions League coverage. The WWE wrote him into storylines. He won Streamer of the Year 2 consecutive years. The Doritos deal told the story best. PepsiCo, a Fortune 50 company with a $91 billion market cap, gave a 20-year-old from Bond Hill his own chip flavor.
About to come out, feel me? These are the IShowSpeed Doritos, bro. The Ruffles cheddar cheese on cheddar and sour cream flavor.
A co-developed product sitting on shelves in grocery stores, bearing the name of a kid who 5 years earlier couldn't afford a proper webcam. Somewhere in Cincinnati, the same convenience stores that Darren Watkins had walked past as a child were now stocking a snack with his face on it. The distance was absurd. The deal was real. Prime Hydration signed him for his own signature flavor.
I signed Speed. No! I'm creative.
Reportedly worth 8 figures annually. Beats by Dre cast him in a short film.
Stability. Your training begins now. Stability is precision. Stability is mind, body, and spirit as one.
Dick's Sporting Goods brought him on for the Speed Goes Pro series, training alongside Tom Brady, Kevin Durant, and Olympic gymnasts. A Fortnite skin bore his likeness.
My dream! No way we in Fortnite!
A DNA test traced his ancestry to Ghana, and the country granted him citizenship.
And US YouTuber IShowSpeed is the latest member of the diaspora to be granted Ghanaian citizenship. Now, that announcement that the 21-year-old American would become a national was made on Wednesday as he wrapped up a wildly popular month-long tour of the continent.
The numbers were staggering in aggregate. Conservatively, the brand portfolio alone generated tens of millions annually. Combined with ad revenue, super chats, and merchandise, Speed was operating at a financial scale that would qualify as a mid-sized media company. Except mid-sized media companies have boards, diversified revenue, and succession plans. Speed had a ring light and a body that needed to show up every day. The kid from Bond Hill, who once averaged 10 viewers on a PlayStation camera, now drew police motorcades and shut down city blocks on 5 continents. And there was the matter of his mother. He had bought her a house,
Like, I'm not even like a purchase person, like type of guy. Like, my first big purchase was mainly probably just buy my mama house.
Not a reconciliation, not an ending. Something more complicated than either. The act of a son who had told interviewers years later she just didn't understand it. Not bitterness, not forgiveness. An acknowledgement that the woman who had told him to stop streaming and the woman who would later sit in the audience at his award ceremonies were the same person, operating from the same fear, separated only by proof she never thought would come. He bought the house anyway. The gesture said less about whether the wound had healed than about the kind of person who carries a wound and still reaches back. He had bought himself a mansion in Florida.
All right, this is my room, chat. This is my room. You feel me? Got my boy Buckley right there. Got my boy God, you know what I'm saying? I'm not done, like chat. I'm not really done decorating my room because I just got it a day ago. Look, show that a little saying. Got my boy Luffy, you know what I'm saying? Chat, this is my room. That's just, chat, it might be a little dirty, okay? Because, chat, I literally just, like I said, I just moved in like 50 days ago. Boom, mini refrigerator, boom. That's my closet. Here.
He returned to Cincinnati on a tour bus and handed envelopes of cash to childhood friends he hadn't seen in a decade. But 2 cracks ran through the foundation.
Y'all, bro. Like, I love y'all, bro. Real talk. I love y'all, man. Brothers for life, bro. Brothers for life, bro. Real talk, bro.
The first was competition. The format he had pioneered no longer belonged to him. Within months of the Indonesia stream, IRL touring became the dominant growth strategy across YouTube and Twitch. Kai Cenat, who had already built a massive audience through marathon broadcasts, launched his own globe-spanning streams to enormous viewership. The architectural divide that had been visible since 2021 was now deciding who got paid. Cenat had been building the walled garden the entire time. Community-based retention, the warmth of a digital living room, the stability of a creator audiences felt they could return to every day. Speed had been building the tornado. Both models had reached global scale, but the money was choosing sides. And by mid-2025, the money was choosing sides. Not in theory, in practice. Top-tier brands were migrating towards Cenat's model, not because his numbers were bigger, but because his numbers were predictable. Picture the compliance officer at a Fortune 50 company. She can approve a 60-second pre-roll on a cozy marathon stream and sleep fine that night. She cannot sign off on the same buy when the host might fracture his ankle, trigger a stampede, or get detained by foreign police before the ad even runs. The distinction wasn't about talent, it was about liability. And liability, in the end, is what writes the checks. The same file that had been labelled Monitor but Do Not Touch in 2021 had grown into something else entirely by 2025. It wasn't a file anymore, it was a precedent. Every incident the platforms had declined to act on, every brand deal that had survived a morality clause review, every content moderation report that had been filed and then quietly shelved, all of it had accumulated into an institutional memory that now shaped how every new deal was underwritten. The compliance officers weren't evaluating Speed on his current behaviour. They were evaluating him on the entire archive. And the archive never got shorter. Other creators followed. The model Watkins had discovered, leave the desk, enter the world, let reality generate the content, was now an industry template. And templates, by nature, erode the advantage of whoever created them. The first mover gets the mythology. The second mover gets the infrastructure. The second crack was deeper. It was structural. And it was the one that explained why the empire, for all its scale, remained fundamentally fragile. Look at the brand deals. the Prime partnership, the Doritos flavor, the Beats campaign. Every single one of them required the same thing. Darren Watkins showing up on camera as Speed. Not Darren the executive, not Darren the producer. Speed. The unhinged energy, the physical volatility, the constant escalation. These deals didn't just monetize the persona, they contractually required it to keep existing. Buried in the fine print, performance clauses tied to engagement metrics, exit windows triggered by platform strikes, morality provisions that gave the brand a clean walk if the next stream went sideways. The same companies that celebrated his chaos in press releases had quietly built the escape hatch into paragraph 9. If Watkins wanted to evolve, to slow down, to step behind the camera, the way a 21-year-old might naturally want to, the revenue didn't just decrease, it disappeared. His body was the product, his unpredictability was the asset. And every contract was a bet that the body would keep performing and the unpredictability would keep landing on the right side of the line. They weren't investing in Darren Watkins, they were renting IShowSpeed by the quarter. Compare that to someone like KSI, a creator from the same ecosystem who had built Prime into a billion-dollar beverage brand, launched Misfits Boxing as a standalone promotion, and released music that charted independently of his YouTube presence. KSI could step behind the camera and the revenue would continue. His businesses didn't require his physical presence on screen every day. Watkins owned a YouTube channel and a reputation. His revenue depended on platform algorithms he didn't control, brand deals that could be revoked, and an audience whose attention was borrowed, not purchased. The distance between cultural influence and institutional power had never been wider. He was everywhere. He owned almost nothing. The validation came anyway. In late 2025, Watkins launched a 28-day tour across 20 African countries. He channeled his energy into charity football matches.
This is not going to be a nice game. Oh, KSI's on the floor. Speed is celebrating. First blood has gone to Speed. I've got to respect it. If there's one man you don't want to do that to,
He donated $50,000 to Palestinian relief. He turned the Africa tour into something closer to cultural diplomacy than content tourism, visiting 20 countries in 28 days, engaging with local communities, and giving Western audiences a window into places most creators never go. In Nairobi, 239,000 people watched him live. He crossed 48 million subscribers during the trip. The crowds that gathered were not ironic. They weren't watching a spectacle. They were watching someone who had become, without intending to, the closest thing the streaming generation had to a global folk hero. Famous not for polish or strategy, but for surviving. In public, everything the internet could do to a person. And the physical toll was real and compounding. In Norway, they fractured his ankle.
That was so funny! Oh, fuck! Shit. I think I just broke my ankle.
In Houston, police shut down a mall.
You want to ban me from the mall?
You're not allowed to come back to the mall ever.
Okay.
For management.
No! No!
Why is he banned?
Why am I banned? I didn't do anything. I'm banned because my fans came to the mall?
But anyway, let's go. Get the boys. Yo.
Chad, I'm guessing I'm banned from Houston Mall, Chad.
His body, the only asset the empire actually ran on, was accumulating damage faster than any 20-year-old's body should, and there was no insurance policy, no understudy, no contingency plan for the day it couldn't perform. The psychological toll, being a global spectacle since 16, having your worst moments become permanent memes, never being fully off camera, was the kind of cost that didn't show up in net worth estimates. In September 2025, Watkins visited his old elementary school in Cincinnati and met with former teachers. He did a backflip on the campus lawn. He told his team that this was where everything started. The school was smaller than he remembered. The neighborhood hadn't changed. Bond Hill still had the same poverty rate, the same modest houses, the same distance from the world that now knew his name. He drove away in a tour bus. 40 million people could watch him leave. None of them could follow where he had come from. As of 2026, IShowSpeed commands over 50 million followers across platforms, the first black creator in YouTube's history to reach that number. He hit the milestone live on a roadside in Lagos, Nigeria, on his 21st birthday.
Here we go! Let's go! Let's go!
His voice cracked. 50 million on my birthday, chat. That is the best birthday gift I could ever ask for.
50 million, chat. On my birthday. 50 million on my birthday, chat. Chat, this is the best birthday gift I can ever ask for. I love y'all so much. I love all my fans from the bottom of my heart.
He draws crowds that require state security in foreign capitals. He generates revenue that rivals mid-tier media companies. He is 21 years old. The infrastructure around him, managers, cameramen, legal teams, brand strategists, now resembles a corporation more than a content channel. The chaos that built the empire has been, gradually and without announcement, professionalized. And yet the empire runs on a single variable, Darren Watkins showing up on camera and being unpredictable enough to hold attention. The moment he stops, the algorithm moves on. There is no catalog that appreciates in value, no intellectual property that outlasts him, no institution that survives his absence. The fortune is real. The foundation beneath it is as thin as a live stream connection. The ghost haunting his empire isn't controversy. It's the possibility of becoming predictable. The moment the audience believes they know what Speed will do next is the moment the machine stalls. And it isn't cancellation either. The IRL era settled that question for good. Think about what actually happened. He was permanently banned from Twitch. He was mocked on every platform for months. He had years of controversies archived in threads that will never be deleted. And none of it mattered. Not because the audience forgave him, because the physical world overwrote it. The fan in Jakarta who watched him sprint through a market never read the apology tweets. The crowd in Lima that turned into a spontaneous parade had never seen the Twitch clip. Digital cancellation has a jurisdiction, and it ends where the pavement starts. Once your fame becomes something people can feel, bodies against barricades, traffic stopped on real roads, police motorcades through actual cities, the internet's moral policing loses its grip. You can be erased from every platform's good graces, but when the streets themselves testify on your behalf, the platforms become a footnote. He built this from a borrowed PlayStation camera in a shared bedroom in Detroit. No investor, no degree, no safety net. What he possessed, an instinct for what the machine rewarded and a tolerance for what it cost, cannot be taught and may not be transferable. The creators who study his model will replicate the format. They will not replicate the scar tissue, but the format is already loose in the world. And this is where Watkins' story stops being about one creator and becomes about the machine he helped reveal. The streaming economy will outlast any single creator. The platforms will evolve. The audiences will age. The algorithms will be rewritten. Every generation builds its heroes out of whatever system is available. Athletes had stadiums. Musicians had radio. Actors had studios with 100-year head starts and entire legal departments dedicated to managing their worst impulses. But for the first time in the history of entertainment, the industry is watching a format emerge that it does not know how to ensure. When a pop star tours, the security is robust, but the environment is ticketed, gated, scheduled. IRL streaming inverts every variable. The performer walks into an uncontrolled public square with no barricades, holding a camera, and lets the chaos happen in real time. The security team isn't defending a perimeter, it is dynamically protecting a moving target in a borderless environment. No insurance policy has a line item for spontaneous stampede in a foreign capital, live on camera, monetized by the second. The question the industry has not yet answered is whether it will adapt or retreat. The closest historical parallel is not reality television. Jackass and Survivor were still edited, still insulated by waivers and controlled sets. The sharper parallel is the early UFC, visceral, unscripted, entirely reliant on the physical damage of its participants. Mainstream sponsors were terrified. Politicians tried to ban it, but the audience demand was undeniable. And eventually, the corporate world did what the corporate world always does. It built a regulatory infrastructure around the violence, monetized it, and called it legitimate. The creator economy is approaching the same inflection point. Either the platforms will build new liability frameworks, mandatory security minimums, municipal coordination protocols, real-time content insurance, or the next wave of IRL creators will attempt to reproduce Watkins' results without his scar tissue, and someone will get killed on a live stream. That is not hyperbole. It is the actuarial reality of a format built on uncontrolled human volatility broadcast to millions. And that is the final, unsettling inheritance of the tornado. Watkins survived it. His body bore the cost. His psyche absorbed the damage. He was the test case, a 16-year-old stress-testing the limits of what a human being could endure in public, in real time, for money, with no precedent and no protection. The industry watched. It took notes. It did not intervene. He made himself indispensable to a system that has never, in its brief history, needed anyone for long. But empires built on a single human body have a shelf life that no algorithm can extend. 10 viewers in a Detroit bedroom. A PlayStation camera held together with hope. A mother who told him to stop, and a platform that told him to keep going. That was the entire inheritance. From it, 50 million followers, police motorcades on 5 continents, crowds that shut down capital cities, and a fortune built on nothing but the willingness to let the world watch him survive in real time. The distance between those 2 points, the silent chat and the million concurrent viewers, the borrowed room and the shuttered city block, is the only measure of what Darren Watkins built. And somewhere in Bond Hill, the neighborhood still hasn't changed. But the industry he broke open will never be the same. And it still hasn't decided what it owes the boy who broke it.